Hi, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my end of year reflections of how the homeschool year went. And I'm excited to share these things with you. I feel like the year kind of went really good. Despite a lot of crazy things going on, it ended up going really good. So if you enjoy homeschool content, please remember to subscribe and let's get into this video. Okay, so this video is an open collaboration video with Abby from Rooted in Rest and Jessica from the Waldock Way. And I have really enjoyed doing these videos all year long. It actually gives me like something to talk about or helps me remember other things that we're doing. I'm like, oh yes, this is good. And so I've really enjoyed doing these, and it's so fun that they do a whole playlist with other homeschool moms on YouTube, so you can get ideas from a bunch of people. And so that list will be linked down below so you can check it out. But without further ado, let's reflect. Okay, so I have my notes down here, so I might kind of glance down to make sure I cover all the notes that I took that I made that I wanted to talk to you about. So like I mentioned in the intro, this year was really crazy, but I feel like it was our best homeschool year yet. I feel like everything kind of just synced together. We had good curriculum that worked well for everybody, and just the formatting of it, everything just worked super well. And so I'm gonna talk about why I thought it was crazy and then things that like went well, what made it the best year. So the biggest reason that it was crazy was with me being pregnant. And so I didn't ever feel super great. Even though by the time school started in the fall, I was out of my first trimester and starting not to be so nauseous and stuff, I was still sick. I feel like I was sick for a long time with this pregnancy and just didn't ever feel very great. And then I got a lot of colds, and that just made me miserable and then made me just like, ugh, it was just, I couldn't read very well to my kids. Everything just, you're like, this is sounding great. This was the best year because you couldn't do anything. But despite all that, it still was a good year. And so I think that was like one of the hardest, like craziest parts of it was being pregnant. And then after having the baby, having to adjust homeschool life to that, you know, taking care of a newborn when you just like, there's no schedule. It's like unpredictable what's going to happen or when you're going to be able to do things. And so all those adjustments have made it a little bit more challenging and difficult. And then we also changed a lot of stuff in our homeschool space and also our homeschool curriculum. So while that added to it being a really good year, that was also challenging, just trying to deal with all the adjustments and all the change. And right now, group work is not happening very much. And that's something that I struggle with. I'm like, oh, I wish we could do more group work. But by the time we get going in the morning and are taking care of the baby and all these different things, it's just really hard for us to get a lot of group work in after the individual subjects are done. And so we've been doing the best we can. On days where we end up with more time, we'll do it, and then we'll just keep doing it. You know, the nice part with a lot of our group work is that it's not something like, oh, you have to be done by the end of the year, and our state doesn't require that either. And so we can just kind of, when we get there, we get there. And sometimes just having my kids go outside and play while I take care of the baby or do something downstairs or do a project or something, that's group work as well. You know, they're learning a lot through that. And so I'm not too worried about it if we're not specifically getting through science or getting through history. I still feel like we're making a lot of progress, even though it is frustrating from week to week to be like, oh, we have not done this in a while. My whole life with the last 4 months is just like, it's like the blip from Thanos. It's just gone. I don't know what happened. Maybe one day I'll remember it, it'll come back. I don't know. But anyways, it's just gone. And so we're still working on that. But despite all those things, I'm going to explain now why I think it's been the best year of our homeschooling experience. Okay, so one of the things that has made it a really, really good year is I changed our homeschool space. And I'll make sure I link that video down below. There might be more than one. I don't remember. But I put a table in here, and it has been so wonderful. When I first started homeschooling, I'm like, no, each kid has to have their separate desk because they're just gonna fight, it's just gonna be a thing. But when I put in a table, it just made things so much better. And we don't have as big of a mess in our homeschool space because my kids' desks just became a place for them to collect all their junk and to make a big mess. And so now we have this place that stays relatively clean and organized. We're able to come in here, we're able to work, we have a big whiteboard. Just everything has made it function so much better, and I'm just very, very grateful for that. And then I also changed our schedule before we always just kind of did individual work first, and we still did at the time. We're not doing this schedule anymore. That's why I say past tense. But in the fall, we changed our schedule and it worked really well. And I'm hoping to get back to that again in this fall once we don't have a teeny baby. But we would do group work first, and then they do their individual subjects after. Sometimes if my kids are ambitious in the morning and have gotten their chores all done, they'll start their individual work, but still at like 9 or 9:30, we'd get into group work and get it done. And then we actually did our group work. A lot of times group work gets pushed aside even without a baby because we just put it last. So if we come in and we do it first, then we get it done, and then as the kids work on their subjects and get done, they can just do their own thing, and we don't have to worry about like recongregating to do our group work. So that helps so much in the fall. It has switched now because I was taking care of a baby or sleeping longer in the morning, so my husband's been doing a lot of schoolwork with the kids, and he does their individual subjects with them, and I'm so grateful for his help. But we haven't been doing as much group work, and if we do, it comes after the individual subjects. And so that's been a little bit of a struggle, but when we did do group work first, I loved it so much more. Like, it really was so much better. So I was grateful that we did that. And then this is the first year we've used the Good and the Beautiful curriculum, and I've really loved it so much. I know everyone has their own opinions about it. Everyone has their own opinions about every curriculum. So you find something that works for you and you stick with it, and not just for you, but for your kids, because that's really what matters the most, is that it works for them. And it has worked so well. I really have just loved it all, and I feel like that added to our homeschool space and experience being one of the best years, is we found curriculum that just worked for everyone. And most of my kids do the Good and the Beautiful, like math and language arts, but my oldest does Beast Academy math, and everything just has clicked for everyone this year and worked really well. So I'm very grateful for that. And something else that made it a really good year is my husband helping in the mornings. I know that sounds like he hasn't been able to get as much of his work done as a professor, but it's been a big help to me and to my kids. But something that he said is he just didn't realize how much they were doing in homeschool, how much they were learning, and what we were, going through together. And now that he's participating in it, he understands what they're learning. I can't talk today. My tongue is all like twisted up. And so he's able to contribute more throughout the day, or he just understands. It's like giving him a different perspective that he didn't have before. And he'd help occasionally here and there, but this has been like every single day since Locke was born. So almost 4 months ago, he has been helping. And so that's just been a big change and has given him a new perspective on what it is that we do, what we're learning about, and what the kids are learning about, and just a greater appreciation for all of it. And something else I've learned this year, which is good for me, if anybody knows me personally on here, I've learned to relax and go with the flow. I am a very rigid person and very schedule oriented and very routine oriented. And while we still have schedules, we still have routines, I've kind of learned to okay, whatever happens, we'll get through it, we'll get done what we need to get done, and the rest of it is life experience. And especially after having a baby, I'm just okay, we'll just do the best we can, and that will be good enough. And we're still all learning and growing together. So I feel like this year has taught me a lot and helped a lot with homeschool. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed my end of year reflections, or at least some thoughts that I had for this school year. Again, it really was probably our best school year yet, just because everything clicked so well, but it had its struggles, which I feel like every year is like that. And I hope we continue to grow upon this, and it will continue to get better as we learn and gain more experience. But if you enjoyed seeing this video, remember to give it a thumbs up. Remember to check out the playlist down below to see everyone else's end of year reflections, and I will see you next time.